In this video, I give a short overview of the classification of finite simple groups. The search for the classification of finite simple groups started, as best as we can tell, in 1892 with the now famous quote from Otto Holder, translated from German to English. I have it listed here. It would be of the greatest interest if it were possible to give an overview of the entire collection of finite simple groups. So in 1892, it wasn't even clear that this was a possible task. The first paper classifying an infinite family of finite simple groups started from a hypothesis on the structure of certain proper subgroups, was published by Burnside in 1899. And I'll give you the references and the information to this video. There's quite a few here in terms of the history of this problem. The comprehensive classification of finite simple groups is attributed to Daniel Gorenstein in 1983, so almost 90 years from when the problem, or actually slightly more than 90 years when the problem was first stated. However, the classification was not declared complete until corrections of the proof were made by Aschbacher and Smith in 2004. So fairly recent, at least in terms of mathematical terms. A detailed history of this work can be found in Wikipedia. And again, I'll give you the reference and the links to this video. The classification is divided among abelian and non-abelian finite simple groups, with the latter being vastly more complex. The following theorem describes the structure of all finite simple abelian groups. Remember, those are the ones that are commutative. A finite abelian group is simple if and only if it has a prime order P. In this case, it is isomorphic to the cyclic group of integers mod P. And a proof of this is in this article. I'll give you the reference to that. Then we have another theorem. A little background first. The direct product is an operation that takes two groups with potentially different operations and constructs a new group, G, direct product H. The underlying set of the new group, G, direct product H, is simply the ordered pairs GH, where G is from G and H is from H. The binary operation, denoted with a dot, is defined as follows. So if you take two elements from this direct product, the product is written as this pair. You notice you're using the operation for G on the first part of the pair and then the operation for H in the second part. And that gives us the basis for a theorem. Every finite abelian group, not simple, but just finite abelian group, is isomorphic to the direct product of cyclic groups of prime order. In other words, a group of this form here. So the integers mod P sub 1 to the A sub 1 power and so forth. And that's known as the fundamental theorem of finite abelian groups. And I'll give you a reference to that. The finite simple non-abelian groups are one of three types. And this was the hard part to prove. They're the alternating groups, A, N, greater than or equal to 5. In other words, the N is greater than or equal to 5. Groups of finite simple Lie type. These are an assortment of matrix groups with elements from a finite field, such as the integers mod P, where P is prime. And then the difficult ones, and I find this fascinating, the sporadic groups. These are groups that don't fit any of the first two types. There's only 26 of these, and the largest one is called the monster, or just M, and it has this enormous number of elements. I find that fascinating, that the simple groups, finite simple groups, would just stop at this huge number, at least the ones that are in this sporadic set. These, of course, go on forever, but this is just amazing that you would have such a huge number and it would be the last one out of these sporadic groups. A list of all finite simple groups, abelian and non-abelian, along with some additional information, is in this Wikipedia article, List of Finite Simple Groups. And I'll give you the link to that. And then finally, there's an article that has a sort of a periodic table where the different finite simple groups are classified in this table. And I have the link here, but I'll also put it in the information to the video, so you don't need to type that in. Okay, so this was the last lesson in my playlist on groups. I'll have a few more videos on rings, fields, and a few other related topics that will follow this.